What is next for the Seattle Storm? In 2024, the Storm went 25-15, number 7 in offensive rating, number 4 in defensive rating. The Storm lost in a 2-0 sweep to Las Vegas in round 1. For some more advanced numbers, they were 3rd in pace, 5th in 2-point percentage. The bad part here is dead last in 3-point percentage, also 8th in 3-point attempt rate, 7th in assist rate, 2nd in turnover rate. Very good. Having Skylar Diggins-Smith helps in that department, and also 8th in rebound rate. For some wins, major wins, what were the positives for Seattle in 2024? To start, Skylar Diggins-Smith was signed by Seattle last offseason alongside Nneka Ogwumike to form this big four, as you could call it, alongside Jordan Horston as well. They signed Gabby Williams later in the year, but Skylar Diggins-Smith has been one of the best point guards over the last decade. Many All-W appearances. In 2024, she was playing at an All-Star level, fringe All-W level, 15 points, 6 assists. She was top 5 in the league in assists and was 6th in steals, aggressive on-ball defender. She had a super solid season coming off her second pregnancy at 34 years old. How many high-level seasons does she have left? I'm not completely sure. She is 34, will be 35 next August in 2025. So we'll see there, but still very, very productive season for Skylar. Second, and the biggest win for Seattle long-term is Ezi Mabagor's continued development year over year. Mabagor has been in the league for a while now, 162 career games. She was drafted in 2019. This was her 5th full season in the W, and she is only 25 years old, won't be 26 until next August. Already one of the best defensive bigs in the W, all-defensive candidate. Wasn't my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, but she was surely in the mix. A ton of blocks, extremely versatile, being able to be an awesome helper, defend on ball. 2.2 blocks was a career high. 1.1 steals also tied her mark last season. What you saw with Ezi this season was her offense took a backseat with signing Nneka and Skylar, so only 9.1 field goal attempts per game. In the future, for Seattle, I think developing Ezi's offensive game is going to be most important because Nneka's in her mid-30s, Skylar's in her mid-30s, Jewel's in her 30s as well. It's Ezi Mabagor's team right now. It's Ezi's team and Jordan Horston's team among like the most important long-term pieces to this team's future. So getting Ezi more comfortable offensively, finishing in the post, and stretching out her three-point shot as well. In 2023, she shot 38% on 2 attempts per game. This season, that dropped to 24.5%. There was one positive sign of shooting growth in 2024 that would give you some optimism about her long-term shooting potential. She improved her free throw shooting by almost 17 percentage points from 70% to 87.4%. So we're talking about that development as a free throw shooter. If she can improve her three-point shooting as well, I think Ezi has all-W potential. Was a fringe all-W player this season, but still, Ezi's improvement was a massive win. Same for Jordan Horston. Horston was on my short list for most improved player. As a rookie, she showed a lot of signs of being this athletic defender that could slash, create on drives, defend a lot of positions. This season, she was statistically the best finishing wing in basketball. 57% from 2. She is a good positional passer. The main problem is decision-making and sometimes forcing things, I would say, but like she has good vision. Whenever she has things together, you can tell that she sees the game. It's just about making the right read. Also, you saw the defense, all W caliber defense when she is on the court. Only 22 minutes, about the same as last season, but much more efficient. The next step for her is to improve the shot. If she can get the shot down to an average level, I'm not too confident there just because of the mechanics and her track record in college. But if she can get that down, that would unlock some all-star upside. Still, though, a very promising season for Jordy and one of the most important pieces for Seattle's future. With all that said, this season for me is a B-. It's a B- because of Ezi's development defensively, her continued growth. Also, you look at Jordan Horston Those two players are your most important long-term pieces. It was a disappointment, though. That's why it's not higher than a B-. You signed Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins-Smith. You gave Jewel Lloyd an extension not to get eliminated in the first round. That core right there, your investment into that core is one of a championship team, a title contender. They were certainly in the mix running into Las Vegas in the first round as a 4-5 matchup. This 4-5 matchup compared to last season is night and day. The depth at the top last season was Atlanta versus Dallas. This season, Seattle versus Las Vegas. Both of these teams this year are better than the 4-5 last year. So it was a tough draw. Still, though, you have such a small window with these players being aging stars that it gives you a B- for me. I can't get higher than a B-, but also I can't get lower than a B- because you have some young players that had productive seasons for your franchise's future. To move forward to the offseason portion of this video, what does Seattle's future look like? They have 4 players that I would consider to be 4 key players under contract entering next season. Jewel, Skylar, and Ezzy are all on guaranteed contracts. And then Jordan Horston has 2 years remaining on her rookie contract as well. For the other players under contract, you have Nika Mule, who is on a 3-year deal left on her rookie contract as well. Nika did not play many minutes. You can't really take much from her rookie season. Didn't play many minutes that actually mattered. It was mostly garbage time. I'm intrigued to see how she plays overseas and then how she comes in next season. As you can see here, not many players under contract. Only Skylar is really the only other true point guard on the roster. Like we saw last year, they didn't play many point guards, so we'll see how that goes. For 2025 free agents, there is a lot of them. Nneka Ogwumike is the most important one. Also, Gabby Williams, Mercedes Russell, Simi Whitcomb, Victoria Vivians, and Jordan Holmes. For Seattle, if it was me, I would let Simi Whitcomb go, Victoria Vivians go, and Joyner Holmes probably go. Mercedes Russell, maybe. Depends if you can find a better backup. If not, she's a solid backup, I would say. Gabby, it depends. I would prioritize Jordan Horston just because those skill sets are so redundant. They're both cutters. They're both defense first, and they operate in similar areas. So defenses aren't really going to be scared of them as shooters. You saw it in the playoffs against Las Vegas. It's hard to play them together. So I would prioritize Horston. But if you brought Gabby back, I wouldn't be against it as well, just because of the talent alone, the defense. For their 2025 draft picks, Seattle has their first round pick. They also have a second and 2 third-round picks as well. Their first rounder will probably be before the 10th pick. It'll probably be in like the 7 to 9 range. So in this draft, that is a quality pick. You can get a good player in this class with that draft selection. For their team needs entering this offseason, the most important of which is off-ball shooting. Seattle shot 32% as a team on catch-and-shoot threes. That was 12th in the league. Pretty much their only actually good shooter on the roster last season was Nneka Ogwumike, who didn't take many threes. She made 30 on the season, so she made less than 1 per game in the regular season. Jewel shot 32% on catch-and-shoot threes. Vivians was 32%. Whitcomb was 30%. Horston was 27%. These are all below league average marks, not good marks to have for your 4 guard, wing, off-guard players. So adding off-ball shooting is so vital to this team, and that's why they didn't get past Las Vegas or make it more competitive. When they needed shots in the most important times for catch-and-shoot threes, instead of having to create isolation, when they needed those shots, they couldn't hit them because they don't have much shooting whatsoever. The depth was a problem. That ties us into the next need for them. Backup/long-term point guard play. SDS played all 40 games and played over 30 minutes per game, but also she will turn 35 next season. You can't expect a 35-year-old point guard to play every game and play that many minutes, where she was on the court for most of every single game. So it's necessary in the short term and the long term to have more depth at the guard spot. Have a long-term solution there after SDS is past her starting caliber prime. And then another need for them is bench shot creation. Like I said, the bench was a massive problem for Seattle this season. They were 11th in bench minutes, so they didn't really utilize their bench a lot. The only team that used their bench less than Seattle was Dallas, who had their own problems related to this. Also, they were 10th in bench points. Sammy Whitcomb, who is not really a quality rotation player anymore, is 36 now. You can't expect her to be on the roster next season. I would be surprised if she is, honestly. And then Jordan Horston, who was your bench player, was one of my favorite picks for sixth player of the year. She should be a full-time starter next season. So right there, you have so many minutes, so many shots to fill on your bench. So that takes me to my dream offseason for Seattle. This is probably the hardest dream offseason I've done so far, because with LA, with other teams like Chicago, you see their direction, you see the way they're going, the core players. For Seattle, a team that relies on so many old veterans, if you re-sign NECA, that probably means you're going to go back for the same strategy again, go for more older bench veterans with experience, because you don't have many cap space available. You probably won't prioritize your draft picks. You could potentially trade them for a player. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, if they re-signed NECA as well. But long term, if it was me, you could make a case that they would be better off trying to blow this thing up, rebuild, retool the entire roster around Ezzy and Jordan Horston. Not saying they're going to be your 1A and your 1B on a title team, but use them as your main core young players to build the rest of this thing out. In this scenario, I wouldn't be against keeping someone like Skylar Diggins-Smith just because she is a quality guard. For rebuilding teams, you need quality point guard play, someone to set everything up. That would make sense. It depends on what Skylar wants. If she wants to play for a championship team, obviously she's never won a championship. You trade her. Same for Jewel. Jewel's done this before in 2023. She might want to get traded as well. So that could all be in the cards to just blow this entire thing up and rebuild. In that case, in the draft, I think a cool scenario for me, it wouldn't address the shooting problem, but if you're looking at a long-term point guard, a similar type player to Skylar Diggins-Smith is someone like Olivia Miles, who has some plus size at the guard position, is super, super strong, can really pass the basketball, can get to the rim, has a nice floater. The shooting is a question, so it's a similar type player to what you're getting with Skylar, but in a trade-up scenario, you're looking for talent. I wouldn't be against Olivia Miles. Also, Janiah Barker, from a pure talent standpoint, alongside Ezzy in your front court, with her versatility defensively, with her shot-making ability, with her upside overall long-term, I wouldn't be against Barker as a young upside swing in the draft. Also, Tahina Paopao, if you're thinking about winning now, potentially making the playoffs next season, if not, like either scenario, I think Paopao blends both of them super well. She could play right now for a championship team or in a playoff rotation. I could honestly see that with her shooting ability, with her mind being such a smart player. Also, Georgia Amore, if you're looking at a future point guard behind Skylar, Amore with her shot creation, with her passing, the problem is her size, the defense. The finishing can be inconsistent at times as well. Aisha Sivka as well. You've seen Seattle go international in previous drafts. Jade Melbourne, Ezzy Mabagor, going back to Lauren Jackson decades ago. So many international prospects have been selected by Seattle. Sivka is a versatile forward, wing, honestly, can really create on the wing, can defend multiple spots, can pass. If you're looking at upside long term, you're thinking 5 years from now, you're thinking 3 years from now, you're not as worried about 2025, 2026 winning now. Having Sivka with her combination of on and off ball utility could be a fun blend to add to what you have with Horston and Mabagor. Also in this draft, take a flyer on a project big with some upside, with some potential defensively. Sanaya Fagan, Michaela Timpson are two names that come to mind. Timpson out of Florida State, Fagan out of South Carolina. So if Seattle takes this approach, they blow everything up. You also have 2 first-rounders in 2026, setting yourself up to, not saying tank, but you have LA's pick and your own pick in a class that I wouldn't say is deep. Like, the depth of this 2026 class is nowhere near as good as 2025, but at the top, there is some talent. Like Awa Pham out of Spain is super intriguing. You all know Flau'jae Johnson, Kiki Rice out of UCLA, super good point guard prospect. Olivia Miles has a year of eligibility left from her injury that she missed all of last season. You could have her, Lauren Betts, Tania Latson. I'd also consider going for some swings via trade or free agency. Like someone like Dana Evans could be intriguing from a shooting standpoint, can really make pull-up threes. The rest of her game is a question offensively, but she can really shoot from three and deep. Also, via trade, if you can get someone like Grace Berger, Indiana hasn't really used her this year, can play point guard, has some size to make some mid-range jumpers, shot like 40% from three last year, low volume, but she could be intriguing. Lula Pasenichal didn't play much for Dallas, was an older rookie this past season, was like 26, will be 27 next year. If you're looking for off-ball shooting, she was an elite shooter in college, so I wouldn't mind that type of approach as well. Overall, one of the most confusing teams for me entering this offseason just because it's so up in the air. What approach are they going to take? It depends on NECA status. Also, what their veterans are looking for. Do they want to stay? Do they feel confident in what Seattle is building for them to compete for a championship while they still have some years left of their prime and like quality rotation play left? We'll see. This team is in a good position, though, when you talk about Jordan Horston and Ezi Mabagor. If you're looking to rebuild or whatever, that's a good starting point. There's much worse situations to start off your rebuild than having two players like that with as much potential as they have. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you agree and disagree with? What do you think Seattle does this offseason? Do they blow it up? Do they go for a championship again? If they go for a championship, do you think that is a good strategy? Let me know. Subscribe, like this video, comment for the algorithm, and I'll see y'all next time.